As I reached through the last few feet between me and the portal door, the motion sensors released the airlock and the voices around me went silent. The door slid open and I gazed into the depths of a more tangible nightmare. The corridor beyond had faded into total darkness, interrupted only by the violent flicker of a severed power cord writhing and licking at the air. In the light of those brief flashes, I was shown a hopeless state of wreckage, barely holding at the seams of its rivets and welding. I struggled to my feet and stepped beyond that foreboding threshold, and the floor paneling hazardously twisted and turned in a sharp, rusted upheaval beneath my feet. The walls strained under a concave collapse, leaving me with a claustrophobic sensation of being swallowed. Only those bursts of rogue electricity gave any sense of space, shape, color, or direction, and the greater length of the corridor spilled into lightless oblivion. This was not the sanitary and organized military vessel from which I had withdrawn, and never once did I hear a disturbance beyond my walls. And yet it was, all around me, offending my every sense. It certainly felt real as I groped my way through the darkness and sliced the sole of my foot on a piece of shrapnel. I could only hope that I wouldn't contract tetanus. The last thing I needed was a case of lockjaw to add to my dilemma. I hobbled and crawled through the jagged mess, doing my best to navigate from memory. Yet I could hear distant creaks and groans as the hollow spaces suffered against the weight of the falling structure. In the clamor, I swore that I could hear screams, shrill and desperate, but I had already vowed to keep the madness at bay. I reasoned that it must have been a leak in the air filtration system, or possibly a collapsed pressurization valve in one of the hull maintenance outlets, but who was I kidding? I had been harassed by the voices of dead loved ones not 10 minutes before, and I was in the middle of crawling my way through a veritable haunted house that seemed to manifest from nothing. Logic and reason were pointless. Yet I pressed on, blindly searching for the nearest emergency supply storage unit. I must have slid my hand over the walls for hours, more frantically with every passing minute. Fortunately, just as I was about to give in to panic and hyperventilation, my right index finger brushed over an almost undetectable seam in the wall. I passed my hand over the metal contacts several times and got no response. Of course, the secondary power system was shot. And at the most convenient time possible, I slammed my fist on the panel and reached for the manual release, which was sure to be hell on my weakened arms. I pressed with nearly my whole body weight to trigger the spring release panel, and I wrenched the handle counterclockwise until my forearm burned with the strain. My body fell slack as I heard the satisfying clunk and hiss of the pressure lock, and the cabinet panel lifted to reveal the storage racks. I felt around for the flashlight and prayed that its internal battery withstood the test of time. I was surprised at my own cynicism, really. I knew that these things were made to last, otherwise what good would they be as emergency supplies? Even more surprising was that my cynicism proved accurate, and the flashlight gave little more than a few weak flickers, no matter how many times I slapped it in frustration. After about 10 minutes of navigating the storage racks for a fresh battery, and another 5 or so trying to change it, the lamp finally blinked brilliantly to life. It shone directly on something disturbing to my immediate left, close enough that I could feel the icy breath against my cheek. I turned slowly, and there I saw a frost-coated face staring at me with wide, bloodshot eyes. "Cold," James spoke in a shout of a whisper. "I'm cold, sir. So cold." I screamed in terror and stumbled back, dropping the still shining flashlight as I fell. I could see brief hints of the space around me and the strobe, rusted cylinders of zero-G handrails, glinting corners of upright floor panels, the flat glisten of dead lights overhead, and flashes of his dry eyes and cracked lips as he approached me like a puppet with broken joints. I tried to flee in a panicked, awkward crab walk as I watched the fleeing glimpses of his form slowly drawing closer, reaching for me with one blue frozen hand. Then, as the spinning light slowed to a halt, just as quickly as he appeared, he vanished. Hesitantly, I snatched up the flashlight and darted my gaze around the corridor, but there was no broken, frozen corpse to be found. I sat there in disbelief, struggling to catch my breath and settle my pounding heart. No matter my resolve, it seemed that the madness had taken hold. It was so vivid, I could feel him standing there, feel the sepulchral chill wafting from his skin. I could have reached out and touched him if I had the courage. I just knew it was real. It had to be. I sat there in a fetal position, crying into the folds of my knees. I could no longer separate delusion from reality. Was I even awake? Had my fever left me comatose? I didn't know. But the nightmare clearly wasn't over.